Hello, fellow translators. Today I'm going to talk to you about freelancing. I'm going to talk to you about some of the bad points of freelancing and of working for yourself, being an entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever you want to call it. And this is because you hear a lot of the good points. And I know a lot of you are in the process or thinking of becoming a freelancer, of working on your own. And so I'm sure you've heard all the good points. You can work for yourself, make your own hours, pick your own clients, work from a coffee shop, work from your bed, work from a beach, whatever it might be. And all these are true, by the way. And I say this as someone who's done this. I've worked remotely. I've lived in different countries all over the place. I work from coffee shops half the time. Now I have an office that I do go to sometimes, but like right now I'm at home. And then anyway, and all that's true. But there are also some very bad points about working for yourself. And so I kind of wanted to go through those right now and touch upon them. I think I made a video before about the bad points of being a freelancer or something, which was more for fun, but this is actually a serious one because there are bad points. And I see it all the time between, me and a bunch of my friends who, after school worked. Well, I worked at a corporate job for a while before I started working on my own. And then obviously I have friends who work at corporate jobs and stayed there, including my wife. She works at a corporate job and she likes it. She quit her job for a while and then she decided she wanted to go back. And there were reasons for that, which I understand better now, having been with her. So I want to go through them a bit and talk about the bad points of freelancing. So first of all, I'll talk about the one that most people bring up and the riskiness. But I disagree with this quite a bit, but I wanted to bring it up first and talk about it. The riskiness of being a freelancer to me is different, but it's not more risky being a freelancer or being an entrepreneur than it is working in corporate. It's just a different type of risk. I think the risk in being a freelancer and entrepreneur is more in the short term. It's a lot of risk collected all there together right at the beginning. And so why is that? It's because, you could decide to go into business for yourself and then not have any clients, not make any money. You could decide to make a new website, get new business cards and, do this, that, and the other. And then no one wants to do business with you. Or maybe you get one client trickling in, or sometimes it's the worst thing. You get one or two clients and that kind of goes and then nothing else happens. And so at the beginning, there is a lot of risk. But what you have in the long term is that if you do it correctly, hopefully you can get a few clients so you have different sources of income coming in, and that diversifies your risk in a way. So even if one client decides they don't want to work with you anymore, you still have 3, 4, 10 other clients you can choose from, and you have the wherewithal and the ability, because you learned it before, to get new clients, and you know how to get new clients and retain them. And so in the long term, actually, the risk I think is a lot lower. And it gets lower as time goes by because you have diversified clients and you really have an ability to get new clients that you can always use, and you can always bring that up to get another client if you want. Well, when you work corporate, it's very different. It's the opposite, I think. You start working for a company and then they give you a big fat paycheck for the month of a couple thousand or whatever it is. You're like, okay, that's cool. And then, you figure you just do your job, do what your boss tells you to do, and then you keep getting paid, and then that's good. Except in the long term, what happens? Well, you might mess up and get fired, or what's more likely is, by the way, if you mess up as an entrepreneur or freelancer, you could lose a client, but you still have the other clients. And so, you can still keep going on. But that's the thing. When you work for a corporate entity, you only have that one client, that corporation you work for, and what's more likely to happen is not that you mess up, but that there's a downturn, which now is happening every 10 years or so. And there could be a downturn, and then you start losing jobs. And who's more likely to lose a job? Your boss or the big bosses, or you? It's going to be you. And unfortunately, and that happens to quite a few people. And you might say, well, I'll try to work up the levels, and so then I'm kind of insulated, which can work, but it really is the luck of the draw. Many times the ones that are a bit further up, they need kind of scapegoats, or they get fired anyway or something like that. I've been through 2 different downturns and I've seen this firsthand. For the second one, I was already working for myself, but for the first one, I was just getting into the workforce, which was fun. Luckily, I was still able to find a job. But for 2000 and 2008, I've been through those, and I've seen it. A bunch of my friends had pretty nice jobs on Wall Street and places like that. Got fired, got let go, and had to find something new. eventually they were able to do something, and for the most part, I mean, they're able to do something. But anyway, so you do have that risk, and it stays with you even over the years and decades that you keep working for a corporation in the long term. And so I do think you still have risk, but it's a very different type of risk from being an entrepreneur. Okay, enough of that point though. I just kind of wanted to talk about it a bit more because you hear about it a lot, and people say entrepreneurs are so risk takers and stuff like that. I really think that's not necessarily true, but there is that risk when you first set it up. So that can be a bad point of freelancing, of being an entrepreneur. Something else, another one is that you have to make all your own decisions and you don't really have any guidance. When you work for a corporation, like I mentioned before, your boss tells you what to do. As long as you do what your boss tells you, you're pretty much good. Even if it's not the right thing for the company in a way, then it's kind of okay because you did what you were supposed to do. Obviously, there are limits to this. You can't break the law or anything like that. But by and large, that's how it works. You arrive there, you have certain instructions, you follow those instructions and do them well, and you can expect to keep getting your paycheck, and everything will be fine and hunky-dory. There's no such thing when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a freelancer. No one tells you what to do. There's no set of rules anywhere. And a lot of people try to pretend there is, and they try to create all these books and videos and everything like that, saying if you follow these 3 steps, you will make $1 gajillion, or these 45 steps, you will make all the money in the world. It doesn't work that way. You could follow all the steps Mark Zuckerberg took to create Facebook, and you still won't create Facebook because, well, first of all, because Facebook's already created. Second of all, every person in every position they are anywhere in the world, at least 50% of it is luck, whether it's a good luck or bad luck or whatever it might be. And, it always changes all the time. And that's the thing. Even if, so you try to recreate Facebook, well, A, it's been created. B, times are different now. Things are different. Situations are different, stuff like that. And so there are no set rules that you can always follow. You can learn a lot from learning from other people's experience or what they have to share and knowledge and stuff, and hopefully it can work. I know I've learned tons from other people, from reading the books and stuff like that. But you come to realize also that there are no set rules, and you need to become your own boss and your own guide through all this. And this can be very disconcerting. It can be very disorienting at the beginning. And unfortunately, as freelancers, we all have to do this. We have to be our own guide and take our own journey through all of this and try to figure it out. What else? And another thing is that it can be lonely. I'm at home here all alone. And when I work, even in a coffee shop surrounded by people, more often than not, I'm there on my laptop just working on stuff. And I'll meet with clients. More often than not, I talk to clients over Skype or the phone, and then email them, and I'm still on my own. And in fact, I think I've mentioned before, my wife used to make fun of me for a while. I was in Switzerland, and she was and she was gone from Switzerland, and I was there for like a month and a half because we were doing stuff for the permit, and so I wanted to stay there. Anyway, she would make fun of me because the whole day the only person I talked to was the cashier at the grocery store. And yeah, and it happens. That's how it is. I actually don't mind working by myself. I don't mind being by myself and getting my work done. So for me, it works out well. But even for me, after a while, you kind of need someone to talk to. You need some interaction out there. And so it can be, it's a very lonely thing. When you work at a corporation, you have coworkers, you have people you can talk to around the water cooler, stuff like that. You can exchange what happened on TV last night, or the game, or stuff like that. And you can exchange news and talk about this, that, and the other. And it really helps many times for a lot of people. I know for my wife, she really likes that, and she loves the interaction, and she loves being that's why she likes working in a corporation. She kind of likes that whole idea of being part of something bigger and having other people with her in the same boat. And it's true, you have that as a corporation, which very often as a freelancer you don't have. And so it's just something else to keep in mind. And the last thing, and that ties into the last point I wanted to mention, which is the coworkers that you end up having in a corporation very often end up becoming some of your best friends. Like I mentioned, I worked for corporations before. I had 2 jobs. I worked at a bank, and then I worked in market research. And some of those people are still now, many years later, some of my best friends. And I see it with my wife now. She works at a company, and she has her friends giving her recommendations, places to eat. We have a little kid, so all these recommendations for what the kids should do and what we should do around town and all that, they're all coming from my wife. And for me, hardly anything. I'm a member of all these associations and chambers of commerce and stuff like that, but let's face it, it's not the same thing as spending all this time talking with someone and hanging out with someone and really getting to know them. And you do make good friends from coworkers. As much as people complain about work, this, that, and the other, you end up spending more time at work than not at work very often. And so you very often make very good friends at work. And it happens to most people that work in a company, whether you like the job or not. You end up having some good friends there. And unfortunately, it's very difficult to do that as a freelancer. You really have to actively go out there and try to go to these events, become part of these associations, and then go there often, and you start running into the same people, and then you start becoming more and more friends slowly. But it's kind of a different thing, and I've seen that, and I've seen the difference that happens because you can do it with no effort when you work in a corporation. So anyway, those are just some of the points that I've noticed recently working as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur, some of the bad points that can be there. And I think it's good to mention them. I still wouldn't change it for the world. I really like what I do, but I do notice the bad points that are there, and the fact that I have to accept those or try to mitigate them as much as possible. Like in order to have friends and people to hang out with, to actually make the effort and do that. And so anyway, I think you should keep these things in mind. If you're starting out, becoming an entrepreneur, becoming a freelancer, the good points are still valid. They're still there, and they're still very good, especially once you can get stuff going and start making money on your own. But there are some bad points, and you should keep those in mind and right from the beginning, and know that they exist and they can affect you. So hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully I didn't deter too many of you from starting on this journey, because I do still think it's worth it. But I just wanted to be open and honest about it, and so you know what you're facing. If you did find this useful, don't forget to click thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, thanks. Bye. Savedum!